Good morning and welcome to the Ask Weldon Show, episode 200, 2 million, not 2 million. We made it, you guys. We made it all the way to episode 200, and I don't have anything special planned. I didn't even think that I was going to get this far, and so I wasn't really thinking about it during the week. I was more concentrated on the fact that it was May Day, and I had Vappu to celebrate here in Finland, which means that, we all go outside and get rained on, essentially. But here we are, regardless of what my perceptions were or my thoughts were. We have made it to episode 200, and the topics for the day are how to temper that addictive personality and workout routines for esport. We also have a bonus question in there from NIFT on how to regain skills after months and months off. So that's what you have to look forward to in the show today. I don't have any big announcements. I'm still looking for other collaborations to bring some more fun, entertaining, exciting answers to your questions from another perspective besides my own. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with me for 200 episodes of this amazing, wonderful show. And I hope that you enjoyed it. This I want to say product. I don't know what else to call it. This video show has gone through so many iterations. I think it started off episode 1 as Mind Games TV. And it evolved into... I think it evolved into the Ask Weldon show pretty quickly. I think that there's a couple of vlogs in there that were just like opinion pieces and weren't even Ask Weldon things, right? They were just Mind Games TV stuff. The reason I pivoted away from that branding is because I learned that there's a trademark for a TV show called Mind Games by Fox from like the 90s or something, and I just was thinking, I bet the courts are confused enough about what streaming is that they just would have no clue that, how a stream is different from a drama on television in terms of broadcasting. Or maybe if streaming became big enough that it would be so similar that the courts would actually grant them the victory in that case. I don't know. But I thought they seem like a company that's going to sue over a trademark, so why don't I just avoid that and stay far away from anything called Mind Games TV, and we'll stick with the Ask Weldon. So that's when I switched the branding and ran with it. And I think that was, maybe 50 or 75 episodes in. I'm not really sure. But I think you can catch early episodes of the show running all the way back to 2014. We're now 2018, so we're 4 years in. And my first shows were related to CLG even. Or just like topics related to gaming houses, related to how it is that you would coach and try to modify your environment as a coach to try to improve things. I did a lot of analysis of the reality TV shows that teams put out in those days, saying like, okay, this looks like a conflict. Here's how I would handle it. Okay, this is bad coaching. Here's how I would handle that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of entertainment. I think the views were bigger too. I think I'm actually back to getting the same amount of views. Back then I was putting it out once a week sometimes. Maybe once every couple days, and I think my biggest video got like 17,000 views. That was like video 23 or something that really helped me pop. Now, as you can see on YouTube, because I publish every single day, there's a lot of content fatigue, and so we're getting like hundreds of views a day instead of thousands of views a week. Which the hours are staying consistent, the number of content hours that get watched behind the scenes, even though the views on each video are less. So I'm okay with that, because what we're doing is putting out more and more and more back catalog for people to discover, and for the SEO, search engine optimization, to find, for people to spread around information. And more importantly, we're actually answering questions and helping people. And that's what the goal is. Not necessarily to chase optimization for views numbers or something like that. All right. There's a little history story that you guys never asked for and didn't want to hear, but let's jump into the show for the day. Okay, the first question is from Brandon. Let me get this lined up. Oh, I don't have a card for it, so I'm just going to play it over an empty card here.
Hey Weldon, I just started the Mac program. I'm about 5 days in, and I also finally started going to the gym, which I've been putting off for a long time now. So I was wondering, hypothetically, if you had any ideas for workout routines that would benefit esport. Thanks.
Okay. First of all, thanks for the question. And yes, I do. one of my favorite activities for esport is kettlebelling. So I happen to have one right here, just laying around. This is kind of a pansy kettlebell. My kettlebell's out in the other room. This is one of the ones that somebody bought when they were staying in my house, and they just left it here. It's only 4 kilograms, so I would never use it for anything except for wrist work. But the thing about using a kettlebell and doing kettlebell swings is it's really good for your back and for the back of your shoulders, which are 2 areas that you really need to work on for posture for esport. And then it's also really good because you do everything with a hook grip. So because you're hanging it like this, you're activating the muscles on the bottom side of your arm. And if you ever use a mouse or keyboard, what I want you to do is go ahead and put your hand like as if you're using your mouse, and then put your other hand on top and wiggle your fingers like you're going to be clicking the mouse. You can feel the activation there of these muscles, okay? If you put your hand, if you squeeze the bottom and do the same thing, you can feel that these muscles are not activating on the bottom. They're just static, okay? So this leads to a problem. If you're doing this for 12 hours a day, then you're activating these muscles constantly and these muscles never. That's like the first step towards imbalance in your forearm. So there's a couple things that people do to remedy that. One is tape. The other is just to get really freaking strong forearms and never worry about it again. And that's what this is for. If you notice with the hook grip, of course, you're activating like the bottom part of your arm pretty extensively. And when you're swinging, you're creating a lot of G-forces that are increasing the weight from 4 kilograms to much, much higher weights at the peak of the swing. And so you're actually putting some workout on your forearm there. So I really like it. You can also do other stuff with kettlebells, like you can do swing ups into an upward press with the handle facing down like this, which makes you stabilize it with your wrists. Okay, so you have to hold it. This is the standard kind of like lift grip, but if you want to do the overhead press grip like this, then you have to stabilize the weight, which is much, I would say, more challenging and probably better for your shoulder and your wrist if you were doing esport stuff. So what I recommend basically is picking up heavy things and working up to compound lifts. If you can't do compound lifts yet, you should be working on the machines to make yourself strong and limber enough to do compound lifts. You should be doing a ton of mobility for your spine and for your back. That includes things like, the reverse flexion, where you're going from bent over to straight up with 0 weight. Good mornings, where you're like rolling your spine down and rolling your spine up, touching your toes. Superman's, where you're on your stomach, and you have your arms out and your legs out and lifted up, and you're maybe moving weights around. You could be doing lat 3 raises where you're like angled way forward and you lift up a weight like this, so you're hitting the back of your shoulders there. You could be doing those forehead pulls or whatever, where you're pulling the weight into your forehead. Lots of stuff that hits the back and the back of the shoulders specifically, and then stuff for your spine. My favorite workout for the spine is yoga, bar none. Bar none. I think that yoga hits at pretty much literally everything you need for esport. It hits at your wrist mobility and wrist strength. It hits at your back mobility and your back strength. It hits at your shoulder mobility and your shoulder strength. In all of the best ways. So if you can find a yoga routine at the gym for you to do in the corner, use it off your phone. That's amazing. If you can find a yoga class at the gym that you just do, also amazing. Ashtanga is my favorite style because of the sequence of poses and how perfect they are for esport. But pretty much anything works except for maybe, I don't know, like sauna, hot yoga, where you just kind of sit there and try not to die. I don't know how useful that is. But yeah, glad to hear you're working out. And the thing is to just do whatever the heck you feel like it and work on your mental of ignoring everybody else in the gym and ignoring any sort of mental pressure that you might feel from them, and just enjoying yourself and whatever you feel like doing for your body. And then researching, right? When you find something that's fun, you just research it and research it and research it until you get better and better at it. And every time you go, you pay attention to what you feel and what works and what doesn't work. That's it. That's the answer. Good luck. Thanks for the question. Next question. This one is from NIFT. Loss of skill after long breaks. Hello, Blink.
Hey, Weldon. Alex
Hi.
here.
Oh, hi,
I just
Alex.
had a question about what do you think it takes, and what's the best way to kind of get back into league after a long time of break? So last season I got all the way up to I think Diamond 2 at my peak, or maybe Diamond 3, not quite sure. And because I'm focusing on school, because now I'm actually in the process of doing my last exams, I haven't been like able to play for months. So what do you recommend is the best way, or like how can I get back at league, and do you think I will lose any skill? Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you for the question. So yes, of course you will lose skill. And the nice thing is that actually you can use this as a benefit. So you will lose good habits and good skills that you've built up, but you're also going to lose bad habits and bad skills that you've built up. So if you were plateaued at all, there is zero chance of you plateauing at the same level right now. Okay? Because first of all, you're at a way lower level than you were when you stopped. Okay, you are worse now, but you're also worse at the stuff you were bad at. That stuff is also decayed. So you have an opportunity now to regain the skill that you've lost plus more without any of the bad kind of like tendencies that you might have carried with you at the time, because you get to rewire everything as you're going, and you will. So let's just say you were Plat 3 and now you're Gold 3. You're going to get back up to Plat 3 faster than you first climbed it in the first place, because you already have what are the things that you retain? The decision making, the overall strategy, strategic decisions, and a lot of your mental attributes. Okay, the things that you lose are the reflexes based on the visual stimulus. So you have you see something and you have an automatic response. So you lose the automatic muscle play. You lose the coordination of the combos a little bit, and you lose the instinct over like damage assessment and stuff like that. So like there's the knowledge of like, oh, this is going to kill me, or they're dead now, these kinds of things, because the game has changed. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your patterns and your coordination come back super cleanly. So that means going into the practice tool with the champion that you're going to play and making sure that that you can put out combos that were better than they ever were at their peak. Better combos than they ever were at their peak. Cleaner, with better animation canceling, more efficient in terms of the movement, tighter, faster, everything. This is your opportunity to become that Riven player who can animation cancel like a brilliant series of moves from any position, because you went into the practice tool and you practiced them for like 1 hour. I'm serious. For 1 hour a day for 5 days. Doesn't seem like much, right? You just cut out one solo queue game. You spend the entire time researching animation canceling on YouTube and then practicing it in the practice tool for 5 days in a row. And what happens is, because all of those dusty cobweb neurons of those coordinated movements are kind of like ready to be revamped. So they're just waiting for more electricity to start coursing through them, but they're like broken down so you can really easily take advantage of the plasticity of your brain and like put in better and new and improved patterns there. You can take advantage of that, and you can end up much better with your coordination on these things than you were before. Secondly, then you want to work on the decision making in game and the visual stimuli in game off your opponent. So for this, you want to have a focused goal every time you go into the training session. Okay, every time you go into a game, don't even call them games anymore, training sessions. Every time you go into your training session, which you should limit yourself to a couple a day, don't just spam them mindlessly. Okay, you spam them mindlessly, you're just going to start playing the way that you were playing before. You're just going to redredge up all of those neurons, and you're just going to reactivate them, and you're just going to have them kind of again, but worse. Okay, they're training sessions, and you want to rebuild yourself. You are the Terminator. You're a robot, and you're rebuilding yourself in a shed after getting shot up. After your battery running out and you not being turned on for 10 years. That's a better analogy. So have a really stringent set of goals related to the laning phase and the post-laning phase when you go in. Make sure that it's just like one, so that you can keep it very clear in your mind so you can actually practice it. And make sure that it encompasses as much as you can. If you want to know more about this, check out episode... I believe it's episode 198, where I talked about drills specifically. Yeah, it's episode 198 or 199 or yesterday. Might have been 197. Shoot. This is a very useless recommendation. Check out my last few shows. In one of them, I was giving super great examples of drills that you could use and how I construct them. And it was related to like fitting in as many skills into a single drill as you can so that you remember that one drill, but it makes you practice a lot of stuff. And then you can limit your attention to a single drill, but you can get a lot of benefit out of it. Okay, that's what I recommend. Yes, you will lose skill, you will gain it back faster, and it's an opportunity to get rid of the bad stuff you were doing. Final question. Before I jump into the final question, I wanted to recommend the Mac program, you guys. Check out my Mindfulness Acceptance Commitment Training Program. It's an online video training course. You pay a fee, you log in, you get access. Forever, by the way. Even if I upgrade the course, this is the third version that I produced, and the people who got it in the first place still have it. Despite the fact that it is totally, totally different than it was originally, and soon trademarked because obviously I haven't even been able to afford the next tranche of programming for weeks, so it's like much more delayed than I would like. But soon, TM, the app will be coming out. The app with revamped content and also revamped experience, and everybody who's in the program now will just be ushered right into the app as it stands. And this is something that will be accessible mostly in a very beautiful way on Android and in a decent-ish way on iOS. And then, of course, through the web browser on desktop as well. Make sure that if you are interested in mental resilience and improving your performance, whether it's through esport or for something in traditional sport or in management or whatever you're trying to improve in terms of your craft, that you check out this program. It is essentially every single day is a video, and the video contains like a mini TED Talk where I present over some slides, the content for the day and the things that you should be looking for and applying in your life, and then a seated meditation. So it replaces headspace.com or whatever meditation app you're using currently to do your meditation. There's a piece in there for you to do, and it takes you through all 47 of them. And then you graduate and you're done. Way to go. Make sure to use the code AskWeldon if you want to check it out. That's AskWeldon, name of the show. And that will give you a discount and say, hello, I come from YouTube or Twitch. And that's how I heard about this advertisement. Final question.
Hey, Weldon, just curious if you have any tips or advice on how to temper an addictive personality. I not only get addicted to bad things, but also good things. Weightlifting, alcohol, food, video games. It seems to be everything. Thanks.
All right, Corey. Thank you for the wonderful question, because I think a lot of people can empathize with this, myself included. I don't have any advice on this from the scientific angle, okay? I don't have any knowledge of, what to recommend for an addictive personality, blah, 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 what's going on chemically. I don't know anything about what you asked. What I do know is from my own experience that the only solution is cold turkey. I have had very little success with moderation with an addictive personality in my life. I see around me, and I'm married to a person as well, that can do things in moderation. It's fine. They can just choose to. They can just, it's very easy. They just don't eat the extra thing that's there, or they just don't, they just don't go to the gym every day, or they just don't play video games every night, or whatever it is. Moderation works for them, and it has never worked for me. It's all or nothing. And by that I mean it's always all unless I make it nothing. So I recommend catering to this strength and using it in places where you can benefit, such as the gym, such as nutrition, things like that, and make sure you're tackling them one at a time so that your perfectionism doesn't get in the way of you maintaining the habit, right? Because if you're trying to do a bunch of things at once and you're doing them all mediocrely, your brain is going to be like, I'm not doing them well enough, and it'll be much easier for you to not have attrition, or to have attrition and to not have maintenance for them. But if you can keep the maintenance up and you can keep that going, then it's a really great thing. And then for everything else, you just have to make rules, like black and white, solid rules. I just don't eat before 2, period. And just get addicted to that rule in your life. That's what I have found is that I, when I make rules for myself, get obsessed about them, and I take a joy out of satiating them, despite the fact that they're only for me. And so I recommend operating on principles like that. I think it's really the only way to go. I just don't play video games. Like, I just don't even log in anymore. 2014, December was when I got my first gig, my first paying gig for a team that wasn't an individual, for training, for coaching live. And I was like, okay, this is it. If this is going to be my life, I'm not going to have time anymore to play video games. I need to watch video games in order to study professional players only. Because the time investment to keep my rank up while still focusing on studying science, the science of psychology and sports psychology, as well as studying advanced tactics in the game, there's just not enough hours in the day, especially with a kid. So I just made a rule and stuck to it. And that was it. So I really recommend this kind of black and white operating procedures. I think that they really help. Don't try to do stuff in moderation. Just make a rule, and when you break it, forgive yourself and pick it back up. That is based on nothing but my own experience. So if it doesn't work for you, please take that advice with a grain of salt. It's not advice of expertise in the matter of addiction or addictive personalities. It is simply what has worked for me. All right, guys, that's the show for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for the great questions. Thanks for the call-in so that we can have audio questions again. As you noticed, the last few shows were Twitter-based because I needed more audio, and now I've got more audio. Thank you so much to Brandon, Corey, and Alex who called in their questions today. And you guys who are listening, the onus is now on you to call in your question. Anchor.fm/Weldon Green, Anchor.fm/Weldon Green. Call in now.